Chapter 11 Method 12 of Mind Control Food and Medicine. We need to look at what is holding us back as a species, what paves the way for ignorance and apathy and control by the elites. If we are to emerge from mind control and the dark state of consciousness that we are artificially being held in, then we need to be conscious about what we put into our bodies, through food, drink, and medicine, and minds through what we read, watch, and listen to. The saying, "we are what we eat," is true not just about food and medicine, but what we take into our eyes and ears. What we take into our bodies and minds is information. Therefore, garbage in equals garbage out. Food is one thing that we have a modicum of control over. The first doctor of modern civilization, Hippocrates, is credited as saying, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine is thy food." However, most people are ignorant about what is decent food and what levels of toxins we can safely take into our bodies without affecting our minds, our judgment, and consciousness in general. The only way we will understand what we are doing to our bodies is by understanding what has been done to our food supply. A person's willpower is destroyed through food, including the will not eat the food they know to be wrong. Do you not know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? 1 Cor 3:16 King James Version. In poisoning the body, which is a gift, we are offending God. Ignorance is no excuse. Illness will result from eating poison, regardless of personal belief that the poison is food. The poisoning of the mind and body through food and medicine is a vast topic and requires several books. However, I have tried to provide a basic explanation of each point, as it relates to how food impairs cognitive ability, and how it applies to natural law. What is being done to our food is deliberate, and is more than about greed or corporatism, but about mind control, and we need awareness to take proper action. If people let government decide what foods they eat, and what medicines they take, their bodies will soon be as sorry a state as are the souls of those who live under tyranny. Thomas Jefferson, American 3rd U.S. President. Jefferson understood the mind-body connection. An attack on what we put into our bodies with food, medicine and media is an attack on the mind-body connection to destabilize the body and the psyche. Once people are destabilized, then they will be willing to believe anything. Proper nutrition is critical for people to be able to think correctly. Unfortunately, the pharmaceutical industry wants people to believe that only drugs can generate health. Health is not about nutrition. They want people to believe that you need medication to be healthy. Nutrition. The lack of quality nutrients significantly imbalances the brain, specifically the neocortex. The neocortex needs good nutrition as the executive command center for higher rational thought. The destabilization of the neocortex through poor nutrition will fundamentally change our behavior for the worse. We will thus revert to a reptile-like mode of consciousness, which is a base consciousness of pure egoic selfishness, and a more slave-like mentality. Refer to Chapter 2 for left and right brain imbalance. We are also being denied good nutrition through the legislation of Codex Alimentarius, which outlaws nutritious food and includes supplements in the category of controlled drugs. More information about Codex Alimentarius is available from Dr. Rima Libo. Pesticides. Most conventionally grown produce uses substantial amounts of chemical pesticides and fertilizers to kill pests. The toxicity from these pesticides becomes systemic to that food, i.e., distributed throughout it. Therefore, washing it will not remove the pesticide. Long-term exposure to pesticides is linked to dementia. In addition, Roundup has been linked to genetic damage and endocrine gland dysfunction. Fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers make soil turn over faster by replenishing the soil's nutrients depleted because of how the crops are grown. Natural organic farming techniques allow time for the soil to replenish naturally and become nutrient-dense. This is accomplished by rotating crops. If we want to improve our bodies and minds, we need to be active in changing how our food is grown. We do this by voting when we purchase food. Food producers listen to what people want. If we stop buying garbage, they will stop producing garbage. We must care enough about our bodies and the way food is grown. Preservatives. These are chemical additives to improve the shelf life of food. Food is supposed to rot, and preservatives stop this natural process for the profit benefit of the producers and supermarkets. Unfortunately, these chemical preservatives are toxic, especially sodium nitrate in cured meats. Processed food. The more food is processed, the less nutritional value. It is essential to stay away from prepackaged foods. White refined flour has no nutritional value. Refined white sugar is added to most prepackaged foods. High fructose corn syrup is even more damaging to health. Food coloring. These are artificial chemical additives to change the color of food to make them more appealing. Artificial chemical dyes affect brain function and are linked to hyperactivity and behavioral disorders in children. Bleaching. Sugar, flour, and eggs are examples of bleached white foods. The harmful effects of bleached food include cardiovascular disease, heart attack, and heart failure are all tied to metabolic disorders, inflammation, high blood sugar, diabetes, and obesity. Artificial sweeteners, excitotoxins. Artificial sweeteners are classified as excitatory neurotransmitters, or excitotoxins. When they get to the brain, they open the blood-brain barrier and toxins that would usually be filtered out get into the brain. These include NutraSweet, aspartame, sucralose, Splenda, Equal, etc. Therefore, it is essential to avoid artificial sweeteners, as they also damage the central nervous system. Symptoms of artificial sweetener consumption include making people jittery, giving people headaches, reduce cognitive function, and ability to concentrate. Medications. SRI inhibitors reduce a person's ability to feel emotions, whereas emotions play a massive role in our moral guidance system. Trans fats. Homogenized vegetable oils create arterial grooving and contribute to heart disease. For example, margarine is a trans fat that is pure poison. Canola oil strips the lining of arteries and is linked to heart disease. Fluoride. Fluoride is added to drinking water for supposed benefits to dental health, however causes calcification of the pineal gland. High fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup, HFCS, is not a natural product. It is a manufactured chemical process, consumption of which destabilizes critical thinking. Health concerns linked with HFCS include fatty liver, high triglycerides, insulin resistance, high blood sugar, and increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Food that you should avoid that usually contains HFCS include soda, juice with added HFCS, candy, ice cream, breakfast foods, snack foods, and packaged desserts. MSG.
Messaggi monosodium glutamate, isataste enancerend poi sono excitatori neurotoxin.
GMO. Genetically modifying species is for profit motives, larger crops, and faster turnaround. But, unfortunately, modifying the genetic blueprint of species causes more problems than it solves. The main concerns about the adverse effects of GM foods on health are the transfer of antibiotic resistance, toxicity, and allergenicity. Antibiotics. Antibiotics are given to caged animals and poison their meat. Antibiotics can be found in GMO crops, drinking water, and medicines. Antibiotics build up in our system. Antibiotic resistance makes the treatment of illness more difficult. Animal agriculture. So, in everything, do unto others what you would have them do to you. Matthew 7 verse 12. This universal principle, also known as the law of karma, refers to how we treat God's creatures. To be clear, this principle is natural law. It has always been in operation and always will be in operation, and there are no exceptions. According to natural law, those who harm animals in the cruel practices of factory farming will themselves be harmed. Those who consume tortured and poisoned animals will be harmed. Period. No exceptions. If a reader has an issue with what I have just stated, then I invite the reader to watch the documentary Earthlings. If you think the antibiotics are given to animals, the adrenaline in their meat from when they were killed, and the GMO corn they consumed, do not harm you, then you are mistaken. If you still have doubts, then examine statistics about increased rates of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer from modern industrial animal agriculture. Homogenized and pasteurized dairy products. Pasteurization and homogenization destroy nutrients and proteins, make healthy fats rancid, and cause free radicals to form in the body. In addition, they denature milk by altering its chemical structure. Deceptive labeling of food products. This is a technique of obfuscation, for example, renaming high fructose corn as crystalline fructose. Another example is the bread labeled as whole grain or wholemeal when dyed or sprinkled with wheat bran. With irradiated food. Irradiation damages food by breaking up molecules and creating free radicals. The free radicals kill some bacteria, but not all. Instead, the free radicals bounce around in the food, damage vitamins and enzymes, and combine with existing chemicals, like pesticides, to form new chemicals called unique radiolytic products, URPs.